Hello and welcome back to Reeling in the Peers, where we chat about and discuss all sorts of movies. My name is Gary O'Brien, and joining me as always for the monthly release recaps, it's my very good friend and co-host David Scanlon. Today we're talking about the latest movies of April 2023, so stick around. We hope you enjoy.
What was the theme of this month?
The theme of this month, David, was...
Actually, yeah, what's the colour? You always have a colour.
Yeah, this one's reddish. Actually, I can tell you, David, thank you for noticing that every colour has a month, because I did research this, and I went on to the colour of the month from Pantone, David. And so January's caramel, February is sheer lilac, March is fair aqua, and then April is usually cyan?
Cyan, yeah.
No, it's Cayenne.
Sorry, what?
Cayenne.
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 Cayenne pepper.
There you go. Yeah, cayenne. It's a spicy month, David. It's a spicy month. I was going with the April Fools in that it wasn't just in that this month is a joke.
Oh, a big joke. Yeah.
In that, like, there's two good movies that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
We need to stop. I need to stop like starting all the episodes with like, this month is shite.
Don't bother.
Don't bother.
Tap out here. Go back to us in May.
Well, wait until next week where me and John talk about Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, a better movie.
How long's that episode?
Oh, far too long.
Okay.
You know, I was thinking to myself, I'm doing a bit of promo for next week. I was trying to cut it down, but I was like, this is all gold. And I tell you what, we talk about the movie less than we do everything else.
Because I did watch that scene you sent me, and yeah, it's bad.
Again, that'll all next week. Me and John's back on to talk about that. And but today, hello, welcome back. Thanks. How are you?
Still alive.
That's very good to hear, especially after this month, this spicy joke of a month.
Yeah. Anything major happen? No,
nothing major happened.
Nothing major.
But we had to go see some movies, as we always do.
We did.
And we're going to talk about those today.
Cool.
That's what we usually do on the monthly release recaps. Me and David talk about all the movies that come out in the previous month, except for Ghosted. And we just...
Oh, did that come out?
That came out. Didn't watch it, though.
Do you know what's coming out on Friday is...
Big George Foreman?
No. Wendy and Peter.
Yeah.
Peter and Wendy.
So we just missed that, unfortunately.
There's no reviews up. I can only imagine it's terrible.
Grace Randolph said the first 40 minutes are unwatchable.
Yeah, that sounds right.
There you go. So we're not covering that today.
Yeah,
but what we are covering today is we're covering some spooky movies, some movies with bright and colourful animations, and a movie about a shoe.
Yeah.
That covers them all off.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
And we're also going to be talking about what we saw the other day, as in what we saw on streaming services that were good. And we're also going to be talking about the movies coming out in May, i.e. next month.
Cool. Sounds good.
Do you want to know what the colour for May is?
We'll get to it.
Bud green.
Bud green?
Yeah, David.
Oh, wow.
There you go.
Wait, does it change each year? Or it's the same?
No, I've been using the same for 2 years. I haven't kept that up to date.
Yeah, okay. Because, yeah, I'm sure you could go back and check what...
There's colours of the year now. This is the most unhinged. We probably should have prefaced.
Yeah,
this is midweek madness.
Yeah.
We're doing it midweek. This is when always the podcast
it's going to be loose.
It's going to be very loose, David. And we've only got 5 movies, but watch it be 3 times longer than
yeah,
the podcast.
Exactly, yeah. When was that? What was that month last year where we had like 12 movies?
We had 16 one month.
16, yeah,
it was when we
nonsense.
had the Weird Al movie was in there. Anyway, not
nonsense.
too important. But yeah, we're going to start with a movie that I think everyone in the world has seen. I'm right in saying that.
I mean,
which
like,
is...
it only lasts so long. Like you could watch it on your bus journey if you really wanted to.
Where are you getting the bus to for an hour and a half, David?
Some people get the bus from Monaghan.
That's tough.
Yeah,
that's tough.
Hard luck.
That's very tough.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry, Alan. And but yeah, we're gonna start with the movie of the month for box office.
Big time.
Super Mario, the Super Mario Bros. Movie, not the Super Mario Bros. From 1993,
no,
a movie that me and John also did. I'm doing some great promo for John's episodes today. Yeah. But no, this is the 20.
That's already out.
It's already out. Came out a couple of weeks ago, maybe. Did quite well.
Oh, there
you go. And as in, like, I can't believe people listen to that one for a movie that they probably haven't seen.
Yeah, exactly.
And John, ew, am I right?
Yeah.
And but yeah, we're talking about Super Mario Bros. The animated movie from Illumination Entertainment, the people who do all the yellow minions.
Yeah. So this is a story about Mario and his brother Luigi, and they are plumbers in New York. Is it? Yeah,
Brooklyn.
They're from New York, Brooklyn. Yeah. And they've left their kind of company job to kind of set up their own private kind of work for themselves job, DIY job. Unfortunately though, they're not very good.
They're just not getting the business, David.
Although they did get the business and they weren't very good at that. But they may have been down to a dog.
As most disasters are, David. Tell you.
Yeah.
I was going to go something.
Nah,
Probably
don't
get me cancelled. Never mind. Go ahead.
Don't worry. But anyway, what happens is there an earthquake or a storm? There's a storm?
No. There's a big pothole. As in, there's a big flood.
There's a big flood.
It's like a burst pipe, and they can't fix the pipe. And then who do you call?
No, but in New York. No, do you remember there's a big thing in New York? There's a big thing in New York where down in the sewers.
Yeah, he has to go fix the flooding.
So they go down to the sewers and try and fix this big pipe, which is causing a flood in Brooklyn. But then suddenly they get pulled into a other dimension. They get separated.
Yep.
Into a different dimension where Mario ends up in Mushroom Town?
Mushroom Kingdom, David.
Mushroom Kingdom.
You didn't watch this movie, clearly.
Yeah. There's only so much of it you could watch.
Yeah.
And then Luigi gets pulled into the Darklands.
Yeah.
Let's say that.
Yeah.
And so Mario has to go on an adventure to try and save his brother, but also save this dimension and the Mushroom Kingdom because they're being attacked by Bowser.
Yes. Who has the superstar?
Who has a superstar.
And
he's stolen the superstar off the penguin people.
Yep. That's the one I don't know.
Yeah, don't worry about it. So yeah, that's pretty much the premise. We meet Princess Peach, Toad, all the characters from, Mario.
Except for maybe one or two?
Maybe one or two, yeah. They're left for the sequel.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much the premise. What I will say about this movie.
Oh, please do. Enlighten me.
Number one, it definitely did what it was supposed to do. It was put out to do a job.
Yeah.
Which was get people on seats.
Yes.
Get them in and out of the cinema and get their money.
Yes.
Which it definitely did.
100%. It's currently, at time of recording, I think it's around $900 million worldwide.
Which is absolutely fair enough. Number two, I can definitely understand how people would enjoy this. Okay, if you're the I'm gonna get maybe politically incorrect here, but if you're generation, what is it, Generation Z? Gen Z? And you're on your
boomer
TikToks.
For anyone listening.
You're on your TikToks.
He's here in he's in a white vest and he has those suspenders on and he has a little cap and he's just coated in coal because he was down in the mine. Is that boomers? I don't know.
So anyway, sorry. If you're a Gen Z, you're on your TikToks. You have that low attention span.
Yes.
This is the movie for you. This is just like there's no point in this movie where it just like slows down.
Yeah.
This is just like straight from the start. We're just gonna get right into it, and we're gonna. Hey, you've played a game. You've played that Mario game. Hey, we're gonna do that Mario game. And hey, you played that other Mario game. We're gonna go do that Mario game.
Yeah.
So, like. Definitely think it's understandable how people could enjoy this because it's just like mile a minute. You're just getting into it. But my God, there's not. I don't know who wrote this.
I believe it was ChatGPT, David.
It was just
this movie is a Hollywood exec's dream.
Yeah,
there is no fat. It literally skips from set piece to set piece to set piece.
Yeah.
From reference to reference to reference. There is no natural progression of the story, as in characters are told to go from A to B, and in between A to B, it's just filled with a load of references that people are like, hey, look at that! Yeah. And then they forget that characters just make decisions that don't really make sense or are just been told to them to go do that thing. Yeah. It's a Hollywood executive's dream. It can be easily translated. It's like 4-quadrant. Everyone can enjoy it.
Voice cast, very popular.
Very popular voice cast. You can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Except in terms of like, what is entertainment? That's what this movie asks of us, David. What is entertainment?
Yeah. It like... it's I was just kind of speechless because it's like it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
Like it's a kids movie. Like you can put this right alongside the likes of the Minions and the Despicable probably not as good as Despicable Me's.
I will say Despicable Me have a story, and I think that's what this movie's done. As someone who's watched the 2 film adaptations of Mario, which is one, tried to take the essence of the world and the characters and try and make a story out of that. Whereas this movie said, what's a story? Let's just put everything in a line and go from A to B. And this movie is one of the truest adaptations of any sort of video game or comic book I've ever seen. And that's the only enjoyment I think you can get from this other than bright colors and shapes, which is, it's just, you're seeing all these things brought to a cinematic adaptation that make it enjoyable. However, from an actual narrative perspective, the movie is vacant or void of any of that. Or any sort of deeper meaning, or anything. I saw a great thing. It was the pitch meeting videos. Yeah. It was like if you were to try and extract a meaning from this movie, it's that you should perform sports under drug performing. What am I trying to say?
Performance and
Performance enhancing drugs.
Yeah,
I eat
exactly.
mushrooms.
Yeah.
Anything good that happens to Mario happens by him having to like power up.
Yeah, because like there's a bit where it's just
there's nothing to say,
and like even there's bits like they just cut out character storylines. I don't really want it like.
Well, one of the things about this movie, and I think you could say without too much of a spoiler, is Mario and Luigi, the Super Mario Bros, don't spend much time together.
Yeah,
and it's kind of like they've nearly replaced Luigi with Peach and Peach with Luigi.
Yeah. Which is disappointing because like Charlie Day seemed like, you know, a good kind of choice for the casting. The bits we did get to see, you know, they seemed to get on quite well. There's just no consistency to it in the fact that like there's even a bit at the end where like throughout the movie Mario has been like this brave kind of big brother trying to save his little brother or whatever. And then there's a bit at the end where like he's hiding away and then there's something going through his head that like, oh, you know, you're no good, Mario, you're just a wimp or whatever. Like there's nothing been showing, like the whole story has been nothing, there's been nothing about that. Like he's always kind of stepped up to the plate even when he shouldn't have. So it's just like it just kind of seemed like they made it up as they went along. They had these set pieces, as you say, you know, picked straight from the game. Bits of it could have been cutscenes from the game, I don't know, or from the games, I don't know, and then kind of piece it together. And even like they go from one location to another very quickly. It seems like fast travel, but then to get back the other way from where they've got to back to where they were, they have to do some sort of different types of travel, which takes a lot longer. Yeah. And then it
makes no sense. Yeah. It's all references. And I think another thing that this movie does a lot is just needle drops as well, which I think we'll talk about in another movie later on, where it's just trying to sort of influence your emotion based on the song that's currently playing. And I think this movie does that a lot. What I will say about the action scenes is I think some of the directing of that is very good for animation, as in there, like that scene with Mario versus Donkey Kong. Yeah. Very, very good camera movement and very good. You know where we know where everything is. It's like good spatial awareness, especially for an animated movie with effectively no rules in a way. It does all that quite well.
The Mario Kart scene I thought was very reminiscent of Mad Max.
It was,
but like,
it made me just. And again, with anything with this movie, it just made me want to go play those games.
Yeah.
But this is my thing, David. How do they make a sequel from this? They've used it all up.
That's what I was saying.
I think this could be like an Alice in Wonderland. Remember that made like $1 billion and the next one's going to crash. I don't know how
I don't think they can go anywhere else.
No, whereas at least with even something like the Angry Birds movie, that had a story around it, and then the second one had a story, I believe. I can't remember. I fell asleep during that. Maybe, who knows? I don't see how this makes a sequel that is the same level of entertainment. Yeah. But by God, they're going to try. Yeah. And they're going to do spin-offs, and there's probably going to be an animated show on Netflix. Like, it's opened up a can of worms that I'm so happy to see. I love that the people from Mario, who like Mario games, have this movie now. But like, it was over, and I was like, I sat down for a bit, bright colours entered my retinas, and I got up. Yeah. Nothing holds from it for me except for maybe, and this was my one big talking point about this movie, was the song, David, the Peaches song. What are your thoughts on the Peaches song?
It's fine.
It's blown up.
I know it's blown up.
It's Jack Black's first song in the top Billboard Top 100,
which is pretty sad when you consider his career, Tenacious D.
But this is my new thing. This is not my new thing. This is the thing. Do I consider that more worthy of an Oscar than anything that's won that's been played over the credits? And I would argue yes. Why? Because it actually is used to enhance a character motivation and development, which is Bowser, as evil as he wants to take over everything, he actually does truly love Princess Peach, and he shows that through his, emotional and romantic piano playing. It's not a very complex song. I saw someone break down the chords, and apparently has the same chords as the Rick Roll song. So like, it's nothing special, but I prefer it than whatever Elton John won for that song, that one played over Rocket Man, or the Judas and Black Messiah song. Yeah, I'll go there. I'm gonna hate myself for this one. I'm recording and do the edit later, but
I do. Yeah, sorry. Just when you mentioned Bowser's motivations, what was he doing?
He's just an evil turtle, David, or whatever, dragon turtle. I don't know.
And he just wants to take over.
But the same with the games. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. There's only so much you can really kind of criticize this movie for, because again, it's being pulled from video games, which don't really make much sense in the first place. So
it's about an Italian plumber who kills turtles.
Exactly.
What more do you want?
Exactly. Overall,
perfect plane movie.
Yeah, probably.
Oh, watch it on a plane.
Distract your kids with it.
Exactly. Oh, it's gold. And you made a good point. We go to Omniplex Cinema in Rathmines, who still have yet to get in touch about all this product placement. But a big movie normally plays 3 times in the IMAX, the Big Max there, and this managed to cram in 4.
Yeah.
And I guarantee it'll be playing also.
Sorry, we forgot to say that. It's 89 minutes, is it? 88 minutes?
Oh, is it 88?
I think so.
Jesus.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. But definitely without the credits, it's probably something like that.
And you want to stay for the after credit scenes as well.
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
They're bad.
Okay.
I stayed for the first one. The second one I just read and I was like, okay, cool, I'll leave now.
Okay,
because I went to it by myself and I was just like, someone's going to put me on a list.
Yeah, that's fair.
What else do I have? Barely any dialogue. No faff.
Yeah.
Okay jokes. Yeah. Yeah. Like, look, if you haven't seen it by now, don't rush out to go see it. But if it's on Netflix and like, give it a watch.
This is Illumination, so it probably will end up on
Universal. They have a deal with
Netflix, isn't it?
They do, I think, because it's Peacock in the States. I don't know what it is here.
Yeah, because a lot of the Despicable Me seem to be on Netflix.
Are they?
Or Minion movie? I can't remember. Anyway,
there you go.
Yeah, it'll be on some sort of streaming service.
Yeah. Speaking of family-friendly movies,
okay,
Evil Dead Rise.
I see where he's going.
So if anyone was listening at all, but also specifically towards the end of last month's episode.
Yeah.
We said we were too spooked to go see this.
Yeah, I think we promised we definitely weren't.
We said
see it.
We've never been so scared watching a trailer in our lives. And then, what happened? When did we book this?
Well, see, I think what kept happening is it kept popping up for me, and I was like,
yeah.
Fuck it, we'll go see it.
And I kept seeing good reviews, and then it was like the Irish writer, director,
guy, well.
And then we had a video call or something like that, and I was like, "Oh, like, will we go?" And you're like, this is a bad idea. Let's
90
go.
90 minutes in the cinema. Come on,
yeah.
How bad could it be?
And my God, it lived up to my expectations, but also sort of cancelled out all my fears of it being too spooky. It is a very spooky and gory movie.
Yeah,
but it wasn't as bad as I thought, because I think I overhyped it. Even when we sat down in the cinema, David, we looked at each other like, is it just me? Is the cinema darker than it usually is?
It was a quiet screening.
Yeah.
There was like probably 10 people in,
yeah,
including us. Yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. I think whoever cut that fucking trailer together, fair play, they deserve some sort of raise or some sort of appreciation.
Got us talking about
my
it.
God. Because like the couple of times I've seen it, I was like, wow, that looks horrifying.
Put it this way, I was grating some Parmesan cheese there, David.
Yeah.
Perfectly fine. Didn't bother me.
Yeah.
Whereas if I had not watched this movie, I don't think I ever would have seen a cheese grater before in my life.
Exactly.
But okay, I guess to explain this movie to anyone who doesn't know what this is.
Yeah.
So this is called Evil Dead Rise, and it is a movie about a woman. Oh, how does it happen? So this woman and her 3 kids living in a kind of a spooky apartment block, and all of a sudden that woman's, I should really get the names of these actors and actresses up, but in the meantime, basically their sister comes to visit after,
her sister, yeah.
Her sister comes over to visit after she's a guitar technician, and she stops by to see her family after a sort of a recent life event has happened for her, but all of a sudden there's an earthquake or of some sort that happens.
Yeah, I suppose we should say that the apartment block was due to be demolished
to be demolished anyway. And Beth, who is the sister to Ellie, who is the mother of these 3 kids, there is an earthquake that happens, and then all of a sudden one of the kids are in the parking lot, there's not too much for it, and come across a sort of haunted looking book called the Necronomicon, if I believe I'm right. Is it something like that?
Yeah, something like that.
Yes. And all of a sudden he takes it upstairs, starts reading from the book or playing around with this book, and then all of a sudden the mother becomes possessed and spooky things occur. Yeah. I think that's the least spoilerish way I can get around this. Again, that the mother's possessed, it's in the trailer or it's in the poster. And I guess where people might know the name Necronomicon is from this franchise Evil Dead. So originally it was made by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell, and they did Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, and Army of Darkness. And I had seen Evil Dead a couple of months ago, and I rewatched. And then I decided to watch Army of Darkness, and Evil Dead 2 before this, which are much lighter in tone. And my God, was I shocked when I was like, oh, there's no funny lahas in this anymore. But there's some nice element. You don't have to watch those movies to get this movies. They're set in the same universe, as in like the Necronomicon exists in both of these things. However, let's just say very different things occur when that book is tampered with in these 2 movies. This movie is written and directed by Lee Cronin, who is an Irishman, and he was approached to do this project from Sam Raimi after his movie Hole in the Ground, was seen at some film festival.
Toronto, I
and
think,
Toronto Film Festival. And it's got Alyssa Sutherland as the mother and Lily Sullivan as Beth. There's also some kids in it, played by Morgan Davies, Mia Chalice, and Gabrielle Eccles as this family unit and dynamic. And what this movie is an absolute gore fest. It just plays on all your fears, like elevators and cheese graters. It's gory, like I said, but also there is a nice story in there, which is very unusual for horror movies. But the camera work, the directing, and I think the script are excellent, and it's a very fun horror watch, provided you can get through the gory, gory and spooky times.
Yeah, that's a good summary. Thank you.
I've been doing this long enough now.
So, yeah, like, I think firstly, in terms of, like, the first thing I would say is, like, the writing and directing is very good, and directing especially, because when you're doing a horror movie, I think it can make a huge difference when you create that sort of atmosphere.
Yeah.
And specifically, a lot of this, well, pretty much the whole movie takes place in the one location. Few different kind of places within the apartment block, but it's mainly within one location. But it's almost like Lee Cronin was like setting a load of traps as he was setting out the movie, which I don't think he had any kind of issues of just being like, yeah, that's over there. Yeah, remember it.
It's like,
it's just, don't make it. I'm gonna make it as obvious as I can.
It's like Chekhov's gun, but everything has a nice label on it.
Yeah, exactly. And then following on from that, I think the acting was incredible, because a lot of these actors, especially the kids, seem relatively new.
Yes.
Like, I've not seen them in anything, and again, from what I've seen on Letterboxd and IMDb and stuff, this is kind of their first big break. Really good. Like, I think it was Jeremy Johns mentioned that they're probably going to need some sort of counselling sessions.
It's a very... Because their mother gets possessed and is trying to kill them.
Yeah.
And that is and the things the mother is saying, I don't know if the actors were on set for some of those things, my God, that's just as shocking as some of the things that occur in the movie itself.
To mention that Alicia Sutherland was incredible. And it's not even the fact, like, she's kind of a little bit subdued when she's human, but then when she gets possessed, she just kind of comes alive.
But that's what makes it great, in that she is so subdued, and you understand this character, and you empathize with this character, and you connect with this character because of the issues she's going with. She's a single mother due to like other circumstances, and like she's got life's fucking hard already. She has to move out of this apartment block. It's going to be demolished. And then, just to top it off, she gets fucking possessed. Exactly. That's just the last thing she needed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But like, choreography wise, like she just, like, I don't know if she could have been a model in past life.
She is a model.
Because she just, the way she kind of moves her body was really good. But then the dialogue, like whoever came up with that dialogue, incredible. Like, some of the stuff she comes out with is really, it's really kind of hard hitting. Yeah, shocking. No, I was just gonna say for the other people, just a lot of them, as I said, kind of
the kids,
kind of it's kind of tough going. I can imagine on set because they have to go through that. But all in all, the one thing I would say is, it kind of felt a little bit like this was a movie that got made and they kind of put the Evil Dead label on it.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Fair.
Like, I don't know if it was something that they could have made just more original, but in the sense that you're probably going to get twice as many people going to this if you put the Evil Dead label on. And like, it didn't bother me. It was just a case I kind of felt like, was this kind of a bit tagged on? But in saying that, they kind of go all in at the end. And I can understand why they probably wanted to set up that idea that it is in this same universe.
Yeah, and I think that was what I was going to say, is like, some of the horror is so over the top.
Yeah.
And that's sort of a staple of the Evil Dead franchise.
Yeah.
But then also, like, what's interesting about this is, because you look at something like Scream, you look at something like Saw, which are kind of like a continuation. And like Saw, we're up to 10 this year, I believe, if you don't count Spiral and... I think there was another one I can't remember. And Scream, we're up to 7 now after the newest one. Whereas this one, it just takes that core concept and applies it to nearly a different genre, which much like the original one did. So the original one was like a very cheap movie, and then they kind of remade it somewhat and called it a sequel with like a somewhat of a proper budget, although it's still quite cheap, but still looks great. It's very fun. It's like a horror comedy. Then the second one's more like a horror fantasy. It's more like a comedy fantasy, but it's within the same universe. And this is just like an all-out horror.
Yeah.
But like, I just like that idea of the franchise being able to evolve on the core concept.
Yeah.
And like you say, still kind of guarantee that baseline of fandom, but still keep the essence of that sort of over-the-top horror and...
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, that great idea of like this book, and it's made out of human skin, and if someone, there's always some, because it's very funny, because in every movie someone's like, oh, what's this tape recording? And something very similar happens to in this movie as well. Actually, I'm going to completely derail my point and talk about there's some great little Irish references in this movie as well that Lee Cronin clearly added in that I was a big fan of. But also I'll cut back to it now and say Morgan Davies, who plays Danny, plays he's the person who sort of obtains this book. Yeah. And a lot of this movie, you're kind of like, what an idiot. Yeah. But Morgan Davies manages to not play him as that sort of, what's the word? Sort of idiotic, student of what did I do wrong?
Yeah, he's more kind of innocent, isn't he?
Yeah, which I was a big fan of. And also, last thing, I just love this. This is my number one movie of the year, by the way, so I will talk about it quite a lot, which I think was so cool about this movie as well, is when you consider that the other Evil Dead movies is all based around Bruce Campbell. Yeah. One guy, his movie. You don't have Bruce Campbell, you don't have an Evil Dead movie. Whereas this movie is able to sort of replace that with a family unit, but instead of a male figure, it's a kind of a female, like the mother. The mother is the the figurehead of the family. But then also you got her sister, who's sort of the action heroine of the movie, and then you've got the 3 kids, which is 2 girls and then 1 lad. But that lad's actually trans as well, so it's just like a great sort of use of inclusion in a horror franchise, which I feel like in a superhero movie, it's nearly like of course, there's sort of a resistance towards that. Yeah. But anything goes in horror, and I think horror is in such a cool state at the moment where it's just having some great ideas, and it's leading to some of the most fun you'd have in a cinema these days. Yeah. Sorry, I just love this movie a lot. I had a great time.
The other thing I'm going to mention is just the practical effects. Yeah, very good.
Makeup as well.
Like the set looked really good, but the makeup. There's a few shots in an elevator which are very good. Also, I know those kind of drone shots are a big thing within the Evil Dead franchise, and we get plenty of those.
We do, yeah.
So, and then of course, I don't know how you felt about the beginning of this. I won't say anything, but what did you think about that weird kind of?
I initially didn't like it because it.
For those I think we can say
for those who've seen it, but I also think so. Basically, I wouldn't. The movie opens up with a series of events that don't link to the other things. Yeah. So it just felt a bit jarring. Yeah. Initially, but I think, as I was saying to you before, the Evil Dead movies before this kind of start with nice and light for 5 minutes, and then within the first 15 minutes, it's all batshit crazy for the next hour and a half, effectively. And this movie does a nice thing in that it's kind of starts batshit crazy and then obviously moves to a new location, and then slowly slowly builds up the tension, but sort of, I'd say at a steady pace, increases and escalates the tension and horror throughout. So I think for the Evil Dead sort of feel of the movie, I think you need to have that sort of batshit crazy to begin with.
Yeah. Because we do get...
I don't think that's too spoilery.
No, yeah, because I will say, like, it was kind of refreshing to go in kind of one big hit at the start, and then it's a slow build up, because it is tense kind of towards the middle, and it ratchets up in the tension, but I think it kind of makes sense that you get on board with it straight away, instead of like it being all towards the end where everything kind of all hell breaks loose.
Yeah, and also it doesn't have to do that stupid thing of like, wait, what's going on here? This is so strange. It's like, I don't get what's going on. You've already seen what happens, so you're already on board with that concept as well.
Exactly.
And I think, and I did not check. I did check my watch throughout this movie, but only because I was out of sheer like anticipation of like, oh, there's another how the fuck are they gonna get out of this? There's another 20 minutes left. Not out of like I wasn't bored so much as I was conscious of like the roller coaster coming to an end. Do you know what I mean? So I think pacing wise, I think Lee Cronin structures the movie so well from set piece to set piece to set piece. Yeah. Unlike the movie we talked about before this.
Well, there's no connective tissue at all.
Just next scene.
Yeah. I don't really know if there's anything else to say.
No, I loved it.
It was just really well put together. Interested to see what everyone else does, and interested to see where it goes from here. Like, what I would say is I wouldn't say they've set up sequels or whatever, but they've left the universe open.
Yeah, and even for just people going on to do stuff next, I'd love to see what Lee Cronin does next. Yeah, and I bet you they wish they didn't cast Blade so early. Yeah, or exactly. It's like the director for that. Exactly, I'd love him to do something like that. Yeah. Although everyone goes to Marvel, let him do something fun.
Yeah, let him do his own thing. Although, like. This was produced by Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell.
He was an executive producer. He actually stars in it as well. He plays a priest.
Oh, okay. Class.
For anyone who's seen it, they know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I 100% I recommend this. Go see it in the cinema if you don't like if you like scary movies. If you don't like scary movies, still go watch it. It's a fun time. If it hits streaming, it's a perfect Halloween watch.
Yeah.
Great movie. I can't recommend this enough. For people who like horror. If you don't like horror, I wouldn't.
That's my big thing. It's just I don't know. You can only recommend this to so many people, I think.
Yeah. People with a bit of fucking courage, David. You boomers, you get it. Roll up the sleeves, get the job done.
Get into that cinema. Your day. Get into that cinema. Don't mind that little demon.
Exactly, yeah. Speaking of spooky, scary times, David, will we move on to our next movie, Renfield?
Yeah. So this is a horror comedy type movie where we follow Renfield, who is Dracula's
assistant. Personal assistant.
And he has been working for him for centuries, but he's gotten to the stage now where he is struggling to continue and kind of is looking for a way out.
Yeah, to get out of this toxic relationship, which is what the movie kind of frames it as.
Yeah. Nick Cage as Dracula, Nicholas Hoult as Renfield, and then Awkwafina as well.
That's that sassy cop or whatever I called her last week, or that fiery cop.
Fiery cop, yeah. That's all you really need to know.
Have you seen The Departed? Then you've also seen this movie in a way.
No, what I would say about this movie is it felt like they had two scripts and they just mashed them together. Or they had like half an hour of a script and then another 40 minutes of a script and put them together. Concept wise, I think the Dracula stuff is actually quite unique.
Funny.
And it's
a funny idea.
Concept wise is quite good. I think it just kind of gets lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
I think the idea of Nick Cage as Dracula is good. Unfortunately, you don't get to see enough of him. And I think when he's on screen, he's pretty good. Like he's kind of that weird, humorous, kind of Nick Cage. You're well aware of if you've seen any of his movies. You just don't really get enough of it. Nicholas Hoult I thought was fine. B movie style action.
Yep. Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, which when you compare it to say what happens in the previous movie Evil Dead, like it was really
even Super Mario Bros.
Or even Super Mario Bros. But what I would say is, I think just concept wise, I can see where they were going with it. It just kind of gets lost because they obviously didn't think beyond concept, and they obviously went in with the idea of this. Oh, this is a great idea, and would have been a great 15-minute sketch or something like that, and they just never really got any further than that. I'm trying to think what's your man's name?
Ben Schwartz.
Ben Schwartz is brilliant.
He's fantastic in it. I love him in this. I do have a strong bias though, because I love him as Sonic. I also love him in his stand-up special, which everyone should check out on Netflix, called Middleditch and Schwartz. And I think he's great in this.
He's silly. Like he's more silly than everyone else, and I feel like that's what they should have gone for.
Because he's playing like a weasel though.
Yeah. Whereas
you're gonna fuck me up, are you?
Yeah.
You're gonna tell me you fuck me up, right? Oh, don't fuck me up.
But again, I just don't think he got enough of that. Like,
you didn't get enough of anyone.
Yeah.
Or you didn't get, and sorry to cut across, but it's just more like what stressed me.
No, I think he got enough of Awkwafina and her story.
True, So basically, that plot is her father got killed in the line of duty by a corrupt cop, and she's trying to stop corrupt cops by being a cop. But then also there's the Dracula thing happening at the same time, and the two are just smushed together.
Yeah.
But how I describe this movie to people is a horror comedy action movie with Nick Cage as Dracula, and you do not get enough of any of those aspects. You don't get enough good action, you don't get enough good horror, you don't get enough good comedy, and you don't get enough Nick Cage. So it's frustrating because I love everyone in this. I don't think anyone does a particularly bad job. I just think it's poorly made. And I think some of that comes down to the director, who is a guy with a name. And I saw the other things he did, like the Tomorrow War. And I remember thinking to myself, I don't remember that being that good. And then also he might have did he do
Chris McKay?
Chris McKay. And he did the Lego Batman movie.
Yeah.
That's funny. But I don't know. So massively frustrating. I think Nick Cage, I watched him do an interview on this, and from what he put into the preparation, I can see glimpses of it in this movie, but it just doesn't shine. Yeah.
And it's disappointing because again, I thought the trailers looked quite good. I think that scene in the AA meeting was quite good.
I need to get that actor's name.
Yeah.
The guy who plays
he was a standout.
He literally has only a handful of lines.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Brandon Scott Jones. He plays Mark. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Every line he delivers, pitch perfect. Love that dude.
Yeah. And then, sorry, you just mentioned the action there. There is a couple of scenes where I was like, this is great. Give me more of that. Like, there's a scene with an X-ray, which I thought was really good.
Yeah.
Towards the end. Give me more of that.
Yeah.
But, like, it was so few and far between, and you were just like, kind of just like, okay, we're doing this again. Let's get to the next scene.
Yeah, and you know, and then I saw them come out and say that Nick Cage, I think, or it was Nick Holt, said that, his favourite scene got cut from the movie.
Yeah, the
which
dance
was a musical number.
Yeah.
Where the fuck were you putting a musical number in this?
Yeah.
I don't think that would have made that any better.
Yeah.
I wasn't crying out for one.
I was thinking, could it have come at the start of the movie when they were kind of before or something like that?
Maybe, I don't know. But very disappointed. I saw someone saying that Nick Cage came across as Trump a bit, and I kind of see that. But yeah, the makeup was great on him, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think the production, there is only like 4 locations in this movie, but I think the layer Nick Cage has is quite good. I like that.
Very Seven-esque, isn't it? Or
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some great aspects of it. Should people watch it? Don't go to the cinema for it. It could be a fun thing to stick on a Tuesday evening.
Just put it on in the background.
Yeah, if you're feeling for a bit of spooks, Ben Schwartz, watch Ben Schwartz.
Yeah.
Awkwafina, I'm a bit disappointed because she doesn't really get to play the love interest that much, and I feel like this movie didn't help her case for it because she was too busy trying to be like the dramatic side of
over
things.
the top kind of,
but again, that was her whole story.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
I think you were, I was just looking back on your review, you were extremely harsh in this, but like...
Yeah, I just was so frustrated, David, because I wanted so much more from it, because I love everyone in it, except for Chris McKay. But I love Nick Holt, I think he's a great actor, I love Nick Cage, and I don't know.
Yeah.
I actually have a great recommendation in our next segment, based off this movie as well.
But yeah, like, again, disappointing. That's probably the best way to say it.
Shall we move on to our next segment, speaking of?
Yeah.
Which is called, I'll tell you what I saw the other day.
Do you want me to go, or do you want to go?
I have one up based off this. Just speaking of spooky movies, we've done 3 spooky movies in a row. I actually watched this this month, but I did see it the other day because there's no time frame based on that. Which is a movie called Ed Wood. Have you seen this, David?
No.
It is directed by Tim Burton, starring Johnny Depp. And basically it's about this guy called Ed Wood, if you haven't guessed it already. He's played by Johnny Depp, and he's directed by a guy called Tim Burton.
Cool.
And so it's basically a black and white movie. It's one of Tim Burton's less weird movies from a visual perspective, but from a concept kind of side of things, it's a bit all over the place. So this guy Ed Wood is known as the worst director of all time and directing the worst movies of all time. So he manages to kind of, throughout Hollywood, or throughout his career in Hollywood, sort of create or sort of build up this gang of strange performers and actors and a psychic, and basically try and make these sort of B-list movies that can just try and make money. And he's always trying to make the next big one. He's always tricking people into, like, he goes to this church, he's like, oh, we'll make this a religious movie. Yeah, of course, but there's zombies and monsters in it. And it's just, this guy is like desperate to be famous. And he's played by Johnny Depp, who, like I said, it plays Ed Wood, but he's very good in it. It's one of his least weird movies, although like a lot of the promotional images you'll see in this is him in a dress and it's weird, but not Johnny Depp, Tim Burton weird. But the reason why I bring it out is that there's an Oscar-winning performance in it by an actor called Martin Landau, who plays Bela Lugosi, and Bela Lugosi is known predominantly for playing Dracula in the original 1932 Universal Dracula movie. But this is a Bela Lugosi, and this is all based on real life, where he was so down on his luck, no one was making Dracula movies, he had a horrendous morphine addiction, and this guy Ed Wood was like, fuck it, I'll stick this guy in my movies, and then he'll lend legitimacy to it, even though the movies are awful. Bela Lugosi didn't care because he just wanted money for drugs. Yeah. And Martin Landau plays a fantastic Dracula, or Bela Lugosi Dracula, throughout this movie, but then also the kind of sort of tortured Bela Lugosi side of it as well. It's a perfectly great movie. It's very weird it's very weird story, but it's well acted. It's an interesting tale. It's on Disney Plus. It's a fun time. I'm not really sad. I don't know. I just had a fun time with it. It's weird and quirky. I like it. It's Tim Burton. If you like Tim Burton, you might like it.
Do I like Tim Burton? I could take or leave it. Tell you what I saw the other day. I watched Gravity for the first time.
What, did you just drop an apple, or?
Yeah.
That's mad.
Incredible.
That's probably accelerating with 9.8 meters per second.
I just looked at it, went up, and then it came back down.
Gravity, the Alfonso Cuarón movie.
Cuarón movie with Sandra
On Netflix?
Bullock. And yeah, it's on Prime.
Oh, on Prime, sorry.
Sandra Bullock and George Clooney are in space. It's very good.
Yeah. I've been telling you about this movie for years.
Yeah, I got to it. Right?
No, but it's just you were so dismissive of it. And then when I saw your 4-star review on Letterboxd, by the way, everyone follow us on Letterboxd, links in the episode description.
It's 90 minutes. That's good.
Yeah. Best director for the Oscars?
Is he? he's the best director.
He's the best director for the Oscars, yeah. You heard what I said. I stand by it.
It also won cinematography, which is
very
correct. Fair. Yeah.
Great performance.
90 minutes long. Wow. Can't get anything better than that.
Great performance.
Great performance. Yeah. Very lonely performance. Well, yeah, very lonely performance. I'm just seeing here the tagline is "Don't let go." I should have said "Never let go." Damn. Yeah, there could have been cross.
You think you confuse it with "Never Let Me Go"?
Yeah, cross commercialization. Anyway, very good. Give it a watch. You've heard of it before.
Yeah,
definitely worth the watch. It'll make you never want to go to space.
Yeah, I did see. I saw something of like, what sort of lunatic watches any movie about space and goes, "I'll go there."
Yeah, exactly.
I can't remember who told me that or where I saw that.
Definitely worth the watch.
Yeah, there you go.
Although I'm looking at the ratings here on Letterboxd, and hold on, let me see.
What's its average in that, David?
9.3 thousand people gave it 1 star. Who are these people?
The people who probably don't believe in gravity, probably flat earthers.
The Earth isn't a globe.
No, well, see, it's got 3.5. I say on Letterboxd, anything above a 3.5 is good in my books.
I know, but I'm just shocked by the amount of people that.
There's always someone who's probably giving out about it for some reason or other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like me.
I don't know. I was expecting more of a leaning towards the top ratings.
There you go. Can't always get what you want.
Very good. Give it a watch. You've heard of it before.
I also watched another fun movie. Speaking of best directors for the Oscars, David.
Yeah.
Traffic.
I don't like Traffic. Do you like Traffic?
I just sat outside, watched it. Like, this is great. This should win best directing at the Oscars. No, Traffic is a movie from 2000, if I recall, and it's basically it covers off 3 different sort of what's the word? 3 different sort of aspects of drug trafficking, which is the people who sort of distribute it or sort of make it. In like they like make the drugs in Mexico, they sell the drugs in California, the people who sell the drugs, and the people who consume the drugs. So it's these sort of 3 main storylines. It's based on a BBC miniseries. And it is directed by Steven Soderbergh, who people would know from the Ocean's movies and Logan Lucky and other things that I can't remember off the top of my head, but he won a best Oscar at the directors for this. And so,
good for him.
best Oscars at the director, of course. And it has got a star-studded cast of Michael Douglas, Benicio del Toro, Catherine Zeta-Jones, Don Cheadle, and Louise Gump-Small, Topher Grace, Dennis Quaid, the list goes on, Albert Finney no less, and Benicio del Toro won an Oscar for this as well. So it's just a really harrowing movie about all these people getting sucked into this sort of organization or this sort of system or this sort of process or operation, I guess. Michael Douglas basically plays a guy who's sort of a congressman or some level of US official who's sort of been tasked to take all this down, but all of a sudden starts to discover his daughter his daughter is, you know, partaking of the drug use. And then you have the
what drug is it?
I think it's heroin. Sure, I think it's heroin. I can't remember. Drugs, David. Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad.
Don't do drugs.
Don't do drugs. That should be the motto of Reeling the Piers. Reeling the Piers and not doing drugs. That'd be good. Yeah, that'd be good. Probably get some EU grant from that.
Exactly.
And then Catherine Zeta-Jones plays a woman whose husband goes to jail for distributing drugs and how she's affected by that. And then Benicio del Toro is playing a guy who is sort of sucked into the sort of cartel side of things as well.
This sounds like Crash.
It is like Crash, but it's infinitely better.
Okay.
Well, I guess what's also sort of interesting I believe it beat Ridley Scott for best director for Gladiator.
What?
Yeah.
Gladiator is the best movie ever.
Wait until you watch this movie, David. You'll never have believed how blue a movie could be. Just watch it. Everyone watch this, and even just write Traffic blue. Then go on to Letterboxd, read my review.
No, it's red, yellow, or green, Gary, not blue.
Son of a bitch. And then read my review on Letterboxd. Be instantly confused by it. Google it. And then be like, that's a funny joke. That's what everyone's to do. So yeah, Traffic. If not just for my letterbox reviews, some very good directing.
Go watch Traffic.
Get outside and watch some traffic. I recommend any time between, if you want to hit up the canal or the Liffey anytime between 8 or 9, I reckon you'll see some good traffic there.
Good traffic, will you? Might see some drugs as well.
There you
go. Tell you what I saw the other day. Do you know what? I've seen a lot of good movies this month, but none of them were on streaming services.
So you obviously paid for them on YouTube then?
Yeah, exactly. No, some of them were on my TV.
Oh, there you go.
I recorded them off my TV.
There you go.
I watched a movie called Flea on Disney Plus, which, speaking of harrowing, this was pretty harrowing. So this was about a refugee who flowed. He left Afghanistan when there was kind of a military coup, or there was some sort of civil war anyway. He left Afghanistan and had to flee to Denmark. Mm-hmm. But what happens is they start making a documentary about him, or they start having these. The director starts having these kind of conversations with him, almost like therapy sessions.
Okay.
Where he's kind of lying down. So first thing I need to say is this is all animated, and the way they decided to make it is they did the therapy sessions where they had those interviews, but they thought that instead of making it kind of a documentary style, that they wanted to intertwine the kind of documentary elements of like real life footage with animated style footage of him during his life.
Right, okay.
Which was very interesting. But it is a story of how he had to flee, obviously, Afghanistan, ended up in Moscow, which is obviously bad enough.
David, you're going to ruin our Russian listeners.
No, it's just like...
No.
He ended up in Moscow, but then to get out of... And then, obviously, he was treated absolutely terribly in Moscow, but then had to try and get out of Moscow, had to deal with all these kind of human traffickers, had to deal with, literally the bottom of the barrel type people, just, terrible human beings, to try and get away. But then when he eventually does get away, he gets separated from his family, but so that he can stay, so that he eventually gets to Denmark, right? But to stay in Denmark and to actually be there as an asylum seeker, he has to pretend that his whole family is dead. He can't go see them, can't interact with them. He has to just pretend that he is totally alone and that he's just, he's just this lone refugee that came to the country kind of not by accident or some sort. But it's just his story about, his life in Afghanistan, his family, how, it's weird that it doesn't matter what sort of situation you're in as a child, you can kind of block a lot of bad stuff out, and when you're kind of enjoying yourself with your brothers and sisters, you're still having a good time. It doesn't really matter what's going on. But then when the bad stuff starts to kind of intervene and take over your life, it really takes over. And one thing I want to mention is the animation style is incredible, because when he's talking about kind of real life memories, when he's talking about I played with my brothers and sisters, you can see them playing. But then when he starts talking about, I was on this boat with these human traffickers, it all becomes a lot more gloomy and darker, and it's a lot kind of more vague, and you don't see people's faces. It just becomes this kind of nightmare scene, which is, I thought was really, really good. It's in Danish, so there's subtitles. I don't know if it's dubbed. I can't remember if it's dubbed anyway, but very, very well done. I think it's on one of those lists again, animated kind of movies, top 100. Very, very worth the watch. Again, it's 90 minutes, I think.
We love a 90-minute movie.
89 minutes.
89.
It's on Disney Plus, and it's just something I think
very dark subject matter for
I know, yeah. But it's just it's obviously very relevant news now with obviously things happening in Ukraine and stuff like that, and people haven't been displaced from their homes and stuff, so it's well worth the watch. And sorry, the other thing I forgot to mention, I completely forgot about this, and it kind of probably is a good thing, but he's gay, and he knew he was gay from when he was a young boy. He loved Jean-Claude Van Damme, but again, it's him dealing with that as well. Which
fuck me.
I know, and it's a true story. He's a real person. They changed names and stuff. So and it's him. He has to confront everything that came before to actually move on with his life, with his partner, or his fiance, I think so. Yeah, it's just really as I said, kind of harrowing, but
Yeah.
quite uplifting by the end, which is good.
Do you reckon it was nearly as bad when they lost Best Animated Picture to Encanto at the Oscars?
Yeah, it's big time. It's one of those ones that definitely got no funding. So
Yeah.
like it's just
No, it was nominated for Best... 3 Oscars it got nominated
Okay.
for. Best Animated Feature, lost to Encanto. It was nominated for Best International Film Feature, which lost to Drive My Car. And is nominated for Best Documentary Feature.
did it win?
No, it lost to Summer of Soul. That's the one where Will
Did win.
Smith slapped the guy.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Will Smith slapped the guy. What?
What?
What do you mean?
What? Oh, it was when that was the award Will Smith got up and
Oh,
smacked the guy.
sorry.
I thought I was going to have to break it to you, David. I'm like, you're never going to be able to watch Wild Wild West the same way again.
I thought you meant
In
in
the-
Summer of Soul.
No. Sorry.
They just cut it halfway
Oh,
through and just
yeah.
went, wait a minute.
How funny it would be if they remade Men in Black, but the only way to make people forget was Will Smith smacked them in the face. Just me to
Look right
find...
here.
Just me to find any way to lighten the mood after that sort of movie. I have one last movie to mention, which is our favourite streaming service, Paramount Plus, and I have realised people have took that as serious. It is a fine streaming service with some very good old movies on it. But
How much is it per month?
I think it's like £7 a month. It's perfectly fine. Not a lot of new stuff goes on it, but there is some good stuff on it. Just don't get it off the recommendation. There's just one person in particular who I heard was interested in getting it off my recommendation. Yeah, just go get the trial, have a play around, see what's there, and then feel free to cancel. Don't feel like you have to keep it.
Yeah.
Although I would recommend The Offer. The Offer's great.
What's the offer?
Oh, I'll tell you about it off air.
Oh no, sorry, the offer, the series.
Oh yeah, not The Offer of Paramount
I
Plus.
thought you meant
They
they're
should be
doing an
paying
offer.
me for this.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, the last movie we're going to talk about is a movie called Paper Moon, David. Have you heard of Paper Moon?
You told me about it. Don't you notoriously do movies I've never seen?
What do you mean?
You always bring up movies I've never seen. No, it's fine, but like I'm just saying.
I don't do it on purpose.
No, yeah, I'm just saying.
See, I think it's because I can't explain it.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
There you go. So sorry. But this is a movie about a guy who, it's during the Great Depression, and this con man finds himself with this young girl who is unsure if he's her father or not, and basically the two of them have to sort of go on a journey to Louisiana or somewhere like that. I can't remember the name of it, but he's a con man, and all of a sudden she starts becoming quite au fait with the con man lifestyle and starts to adapt to it, but as they grow closer he tries to push apart, and it's just a fun story and it's just a lot of fun. It's a 102-minute movie. It's a comedy. It's got Ryan O'Neal and his daughter Tatum O'Neal in it. Tatum O'Neal was 10 when she was in this movie, and she won an Oscar for it, and she remains to be the youngest person who's ever won a competitive Oscar. And my review on Letterboxd, which I have, by the way, I don't know if I've told people I have Letterboxd, which is just imagine losing an Oscar to a 10-year-old, but at the same time knowing she 1000% deserved it. It's just a fun romp of a tale about these two going around conning people. It's great. It's on Paramount Plus, our favorite streaming service that people may or may not should get if of my recommendation.
Who was the person that wanted to get it?
It was a fond listener of the podcast, our good friend John's Hackett's father.
Okay. Yeah.
If you're listening, sir, thanks for listening. Really appreciate it. And you have a look and see what's on Paramount Plus first, and then
I've looked at it. It's a nice catalogue.
there's some good stuff in it.
I just need to get through my other streaming services.
That's the same as me. I can't get Amazon Prime until I only have 6 movies left on Paramount Plus, and then I'm done. Anyway, that's not important.
Fair enough.
Anything else, or should we move on?
Oh no, you can move on.
Well, that was tell you what I saw the other day. Right. Speaking of movies,
Yeah.
I have no segue.
Okay. Con men.
Talking
about con
speaking
men?
of con men,
Yeah.
Air.
Oh, let's go back to tell you what I saw the other day.
Why?
I don't want to talk about this.
Oh, right. Air. For anyone who's not aware, it's something you breathe. It's actually this is a scientific show. We talk about gravity. We talk about air. No, this is all about the suspenseful, thrilling tale of how Nike procured the rights to get Michael Jordan to do the Air Jordan shoe. It is written and directed, I believe, by Ben Affleck, starring himself, Ben Affleck, and Matt Damon, Jason Bateman, Chris Tucker. Who else is in this? Damon Wayans?
Yeah. Marlon Wayans.
Marlon Wayans?
Damon,
I always got those two
one of
confused.
those.
And
Viola Davis.
And Viola Davis. And yeah, look, this movie, so it's basically all about Nike, who are currently struggling in the basketball industry. They don't have any sort of superstars wearing their shoes. They're losing competition to Adidas and Converse. And basically Matt Damon's character, who has a name, comes along and is like, hey, why don't we use all of our budget instead of hiring 3 rookies for the season? Just put all of our efforts into getting Michael Jordan.
Sonny Vaccaro.
Sonny Vaccaro. He had a great name. I knew that much. Yeah, and basically it's just about him showing how cool he is at knowing all the things about basketball and nobody believing in him. And then him ultimately dealing with Mrs. Jordan, played by Viola Davis, into sort of beginning the pitch or sort of, journey or project to get Michael Jordan to sign the shoe. And look, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil if Michael Jordan signs this deal or not, but he does, because we know this, because the Air Jordan exists. And that's my big thing about this movie, David. There's no stakes in this, and the only stakes in this movie are served in Tony Roma's, which is seen in a movie in this, and for anyone who knows me, I love that establishment.
You ever been?
Nope. And no, so like, yeah, there's just, the movie is so bland. There's nothing to this movie. There's no stakes. It's like, there's nothing even like interesting that I learned, bar one thing, which is that I didn't know they had to pay a fine for the shoe to be more red than white. Other than that, there's nothing interesting. It's just a guy talking about, there's just a lot of references to old players and the references to like old fucking ads, and the needle drops are grotesque in my opinion, in that they just, whenever the scene energies just drop, they just play another 80s classic and expect you to be fine by it. My friend Oisin Sands, who loved this movie, he only gave it for 2. He said he loves Air Jordans, so he's like, I'm already sold. And he goes, 2, a movie that starts with Dire Straits is always going to get 4 stars with him. So I was like, you know what, that's fair, brother. Who am I to judge? It's just, Ben Affleck, I think, plays perfectly fine. Matt Damon is perfectly fine.
Ben Affleck plays Ben Affleck in this movie.
Perfectly fine.
Matt Damon plays Matt Damon. Jason Bateman is Jason Bateman. They literally don't act in this movie.
My friend Oisin, and I'm going to keep referencing him because he made a great point in this, where he goes, it'll be fun to look back in like 20, 30 years as Ben Affleck and Matt Damon as the Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, in that they were always in everything together. Yeah. And he said, it was just nice to see the two of them together, to which I told him, go watch The Last Duel. That's a much better Matt Damon, Ben Affleck movie where they both act.
Yeah. I mean, there you go. Yeah, I agree with everything. And look, I can understand, again, with similar to Super Mario Brothers, it seems like a movie that people find it easy to enjoy. Like, it's just kind of that romp. But I saw some people comparing this to Moneyball. Absolutely disgraceful. Moneyball is not even in the same stratosphere as this movie.
David, it's not even in the same ballpark. Like, pardon the pun.
Like, oh my God. I was actually, when I came out of me, I was sickened by that. Jesus Christ. Yeah, like, this would be like making a movie about Manchester United now.
Like in the 90s?
No, like Manchester United now. Like, they're the 3rd best team in England, say.
Okay.
And, you know, they just can't catch.
Oh,
Manchester
yeah.
They just can't catch
this
Arsenal.
multi-billion-dollar company just can't get the basketball industry right.
Just can't catch a fucking break.
Like. Tough times.
Yeah.
And they try and throw in reasons to know why it could be detrimental if they don't get this deal. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Nah.
And then, the big...
Spineless, David. Spineless movie.
It's so... And then... the whole thing with Michael Jordan in it, Jesus Christ, just like, it was so off-putting.
So for anyone who doesn't know, you don't see his face in this movie. I compared it to, it's like an episode of a TV show where the actors go off doing a movie and they have to try and hide that he's not there. Yeah. Ben Affleck came out and said the reason why he did that is because no actor could play Michael Jordan. So therefore, they didn't want to have to cast an actor as Michael Jordan for everyone to rip it apart being like, that guy can't play Michael Jordan. And I get that in some ways, but it's handled what I feel it's so comedically in this movie that he's always hidden by like a grocery bag or like out of shot or something like that. So it is distracting rather than like it would nearly be better if the movie finished like, oh geez, no Michael Jordan, you don't see him actually.
Yeah.
Like he should nearly be like, I don't know. It came across like Blofeld in From Russia with Love in that it's like they're so clearly just not showing the face. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Or Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, it was really off-putting, especially. I'm not spoiling anything. There's a bit at the end in a board meeting. He's in there, but it's really off-putting. What can I say? Sorry, I'm trying to just think. Yeah, just the big thing for me was just all the actors were just, none of them seemed to be actually acting. They were just kind of doing their own shtick.
Davis, I think.
Viola Davis was outstanding. She was brilliant.
But again, she, as Mark Komodo always says, she could read the phone book and that would be top notch.
And then I just think like. the story here. I would have almost preferred if they actually went more in depth into how the shoe was made or developed, because I thought that bit with your man down in the basement was kind of interesting,
and it's glossed over.
Yeah, which is kind of just like, get it together.
How bad is it that you watched this 2-hour movie and you were like, show me how the shoe was made? Like, that's how bad it is. You're like, I want anything. Any sort of conflict, or like, oh, the materials won't be here on time. There's none of that. There's only one major thing that happens in this movie, which is regards to the revenue. And it is resolved instantaneously.
That's the thing. It's just the whole thing is about Phil Knight, and he's like, oh no, I can't give you the money. Yeah, I'll give you the money. And that's it. Like, that's literally it. And like it, I suppose there's a bit with Jason Bateman and his family, which is kind of where they're trying to go with. But like, again, I don't really care.
Yeah.
Like,
and again, as much as this movie tries to make you feel bad, the classic biopic, where are all these people now? You're like, they've all made billions of dollars, aren't? And then like you could tell, and I said this in my review as well on Letterboxd, no less. The link's in the description there. Yeah. You can tell everyone's
I follow you, Gary.
You can tell. You better not fucking follow me. I swear to God, you see what happens. Yeah. And you can tell everyone's still alive because nobody comes out bad in this movie. No. Nobody. It's just even the CEO of Nike, who you could get a sense he was a bad dude.
Yeah, big time.
By the way, Ben Affleck was trying to play him, but he didn't do anything bad. And then like the biopic is just like, and he's donated billions to charity. Moving on. Nah. Zaka.
Yeah, spineless. I think that's the best way to describe it. But look, I can understand if people, it's a bit of a romp, a bit of a, you know, if someone's, say, a basketball fan, I can see them being like, oh, what a year, you know, what a time.
Yeah.
For, you know,
there's a lot of, but it's the same as like Mario. There's probably a lot of things you can relate to and be like, oh my God, that's exactly what that, like Adidas were like that at the time, and Converse were doing this, and I can't even remember anything else about the movie to make a joke about. There goes that anyway.
That was it. There was about the pink Porsche or the purple Porsche.
He wanted a red Mercedes.
Red Mercedes, yeah.
Anyway, should we move on?
Yeah. Also, watch The Last Dance.
Go watch The Last Dance.
If you want to watch something about Michael Jordan, watch The Last Dance.
Yeah, absolutely.
All 10 hours.
Oh, not the Magic Mike movie?
No.
And let's talk, perfect. We've ended up on a good note as well. David, do you want to bring the people through what the fuck Suzume is? Because everyone asked me when I said I was going out, they're like, what is that? And I was like, I don't know.
Okay, Suzume. So, first things first, it's an animated movie, but it's also anime. Is that right? Yeah,
yes.
Anime. It's Japanese animated. So, it's about... So, firstly, what I will say is it's mainly about Japan. Okay, that's all I'll say. But it's about this girl who comes upon a
door.
Yeah, a door in her town, which seems to be causing a lot of
issues.
Geological issues.
Yeah.
And she meets a guy who is there to try and stop these geological issues. And there's a little bit of kind of mysticism and magic and fantastical elements to it. But it's more of kind of a road trip movie through Japan or across Japan, and them trying to go across and stop these geological instances. That's probably as far as I go.
Because I was about to say, because I didn't know anything about this movie, and there's one big sort of thing that happens at the beginning of this movie that I was like, what the fuck is this? Exactly. And I was kind of pleasantly surprised by it, because again, I didn't know too much about it.
Yeah.
I guess what I can do to try and put this movie into context is it's directed by a guy called Makoto Shinkai, who also did another big anime movie called Your Name, very popular, and I'll give you the synopsis of that just to give you the idea of what his types of movies are, which is two teenagers share a profound magical connection upon discovering they are swapping bodies. Things manage to become even more complicated when the boy and girl decide to meet in person. So it's this weird supernatural sort of love story. And I think that's sort of superimposed into this movie. But like you said, it has that sort of cultural connection to Japan, which I think is quite interesting.
Yeah. That's probably the best way to say it. The main thing is I just really don't want to tell people about it because I went in as blind as you did, and I had a great time with this. I think number one, and it's probably to be expected with a lot of these Japanese anime movie animation's incredible. Everything we talked about with Super Mario Bros. In terms of color, it's probably twice as good in this. I think everything is just so striking. There's animation with a chair, which I thought was just really well done. Like probably better than anything I've seen Disney ever do.
Wow.
No, but I just thought it looks
Have you not seen The Emperor's New Groove?
I've seen the
Boys and but goose goes boys.
I'm probably being a little bit over dramatic.
I think you are.
But like, I just thought again, it's coming in from being so kind of oblivious to this.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's that animation style. There is animals in this which I thought were brilliant. They have their own kind of characteristics and stuff. There are some action scenes which I thought were brilliant. But overall, I think I just want to mention is the concept of Japan itself.
Yeah.
And
what a concept, eh? Japan. Imagine that.
I think it's the nice thing is it looks like it's Japan from the perspective of someone that's from Japan living there. It's not the type of kind of tourist things like tourist, you know, that you would be like, oh, you know, they have Mount Fuji or whatever, but it's not like they go to Tokyo and see Shibuya Crossing. They don't go to, you know, a
karaoke bar.
Yeah, or like, you know,
trying to think of other...
cherry blossom trees, or
yes.
cherry blossom forest, whatever, or, you know, go see the Japan rugby team or something.
South Africa, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Damn, I was desperately trying to think of a rugby player who's over there right now. What South Africans over there?
Brody Retallick, I think.
They go see Brody Retallick. He didn't show up in this movie.
Yeah. But I just thought it was so they used the concept of Japan and its people and how nice. I'm not going to say, you know, they're all nice, but like, you know, how welcoming they are in certain aspects. Because Suzume, our main character, goes through a lot of difficult situations, but she meets a lot of people on the way that help her and give her a hand, and you know, she doesn't have any kind of specific mode of transport, and you know, she has to kind of you know, almost hitchhike her way down through Japan, which I thought was, again, it starts in the north of Japan, ends up in the south.
Does it? I thought it was the south and ends up in the north.
Oh, maybe it is. Sorry.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd looked the wrong way. But and then it's also kind of a coming home story for her, because she had to kind of move away from home for certain issues. And then the final thing is it's a callback to the Japanese tsunami that took place in 2011. I think the director came out and said that it was specifically made with that kind of in mind. Yeah. And it really comes across quite well that, you know, it's again made for the people of Japan and the kind of heart they probably had to go through with that natural disaster. And
they've also had many other things that have happened to them that the country themselves have had to sort of grieve, and the sort of trauma that's left over that the movie kind of it reflects on. Yeah, it doesn't like, it's not over the top, and it doesn't hit you over the head. But it doesn't like use it to like sort of get that emotional leverage over the audience so much as just sort of relating to it. I don't know how it's weaved in. It's weaved in, and it's not like that we're going to stop the whole narrative just to look at this or focus on this point. I just had a great time with it, and again, maybe it was me just going in kind of blind, but everyone I've talked to seemed to have enjoyed it quite well. Shave off 20 minutes. Yeah, maybe. There's one big action scene in it, and then it kind of plods along for another like 20 minutes. There's a road trip scene there, which I think that's all for me, because I was falling asleep in this, but not because I was just very tired generally, not because of the movie. But I went to go see it with Owen and Rob, and they are both anime fanatics for love Owen. So it's like Crunchyroll produced it or something. And then Owen leads, because Owen just leans over to me and he goes, "That's like Netflix for anime." So like they both, Rob, big artist as well. He loves to draw and big fan of the Ghibli movies, and he was like, he just kept saying the movie's so beautiful. And Owen was a big fan of it as well. So gets their sample approval as well. Also, the subtitles didn't bother me. Good subtitles. I appreciate good subtitles, and that was good subtitling for this movie, and they were built into the movie rather than like stamped on. Like that was just the screening we went to go see, and I was a big fan of that. So top marks there for that. Very popular as well, because I mean, every time I went to try and book this, it was fairly full. I know it was only in Screen 9, but still, get 20 people in there, 20 or so people in there for a fairly unknown movie. It's nice to see. There you go. Well, that's all the April movies, David. If it was to give it a movie of the month, I'd give it to Evil Dead Rises, or Rise. I don't know what you'd give it to. Give it to him. Go on Ireland. Go on Ireland. But now we're going to look ahead to May. So on the first weekend of May, we've got the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I'm going to say nothing bad about Marvel, because they've kindly invited myself and David to go to the preview screening of this movie. So I will reserve all judgment on this movie until I go see it. But what I will say is, I've loved all of James Gunn's superhero movies to date, including the two Guardians movies, and the Suicide Squad, and I've loved Peacemaker. I didn't love Guardians Volume 2 as much as I loved Guardians 1, but I've always loved, there's always been moments in those movies that have made me, excited, have made those movies memorable for me. And Guardians 1, it remains one of my top 3 Marvel movies to date, and I think that comes down to how Gunn is able to sort of separate himself from the rest of the MCU. And based on some of the MCU movies that I've seen recently that I may or may not have liked, if you're listening, Marvel, I'm excited to see what sort of separation he can get from this and to sort of cap off the Guardians trilogy, as it's been called.
Really, I love Guardians 1. I think everyone enjoys it. Guardians 2, I think I've only seen it once.
Yeah.
And I just never really got the drive to go see it again, or like watch it.
I feel like
again.
it came out too soon after Guardians 1 as well. I feel like I needed a bit of space.
Yeah. Fun, but I wouldn't say it's definitely not as good as.
But also, I think with James Gunn as well, like he even I think in Endgame or Infinity War, he still wrote all the Guardians dialogue. Yeah. This guy loves it. Loves these characters, and this is his send off to it, so I'm excited for that reason.
Yeah, hopefully it comes true. Like again, I'm not expecting Guardians 1 level, but if you can even like get close to that, it would be really well worth it.
Yeah. And they should definitely invite us to more things. Also coming out that weekend, which we'll be able to see now, because we're not going to have our time taken up with Guardians of the Galaxy. I mean, when I say taken up with, I mean
we're going to have some spare time.
We'll have spare time. Thanks, Marvel. Lakelands. It's an Irish movie. It's all about the story of Keane, a footballer who gets attacked on a night out, and he will struggle to come to term with a career-ending injury. Irish movie. Heard a bit of buzz about it. Someone here in the house has heard great things about it as well. Thank you, I'll go see it.
Lakelands.
Not
like behind the skill.
Not behind the skill. Not behind her at skill, David.
The Rugby Club.
Not the Rugby Club. Not the rubber. This comes out the same weekend. They're in the final, so we should do a double bill. Go watch Lakelands, then go to Lakelands, then go to Ibiza.
Yeah.
This is very
Upper Bruise.
Upper Bruise. This is very in jokey even for us.
Yeah, I mean, like no one's gonna get this.
Then there's something the next weekend, but I haven't written it down. But the weekend after that, stacked, David, stacked. We've got Fast X.
Class.
Yeah, I don't really care.
No.
I went to see.
You don't care about family.
I don't care about family, and I don't care about this. Look, Vin Diesel himself forced a guy who lost his job the next week to say this was the best movie ever. Gary, can you just play the noise?
What do you think, Justin?
Week 1. Just finished week 1.
How does it feel?
Feels like the beginning of an epic ending.
Is it fair to say that this will be the best one?
In my heart, yes.
Oh!
Remember Vin Diesel had the camera and the guy's like, would you say it's the best one yet?
Oh, sorry, yes. Sorry, when you said lost her job, I was like, what poor bastard did he say this to?
So look, this is structured as the last ooh, that's how I feel about this movie. Ooh. So look, it's the last run in of this movie. It's the second to last one, I believe.
Second to last? What?
I think there's one more after this, isn't there?
Fuck.
So it's over many missions and against impossible odds. Dom Toretto and his family have outsmarted and outdriven every foe in their path. Now they must confront the most lethal opponent they've ever faced. Hollywood's next big muscly man that they haven't used before. Fueled by revenge, a terrifying threat emerges from the shadows of the past to shatter Dom's world and destroy everything and everyone he loves. I feel like I could have read any Fast and Furious description that would describe that movie. Yeah. Jason Momoa is in this one. Sure, why not? Universal, if you're listening, can I come to the premiere, please?
I'm just seeing here, it's not on the IFCO site.
It's out 19th of May.
Okay, yeah.
Also, anything to say about that? So we move on.
Yeah, I mean, if you've seen the first few, I'm fine. Like, get some Coronas, get some limes. I'll have a good time.
Beau is Afraid. That's also out that weekend as well. So it's from Ari Aster, who people would know from Hereditary and Midsommar. And all I have here is from his darkest fears comes the greatest adventure. It stars Joaquin Phoenix. It's 3 hours long. It's meant to be mind-bendingly confusing and very artsy. Scorsese saw it and seems to like it. But then again, I think that was because it was over 3 hours long. I'm very intrigued by the concept of it. I did not have a fun time watching Midsommar, but I could respect it for what it was, and I feel like it could be the same with Beau is Afraid, but I'm very excited for it.
That trailer didn't make any sense.
I think that's the point.
Okay, yeah.
It looks like a guy who sort of is able to travel through his life and experience things in a different versions of himself. I don't really understand.
Yeah.
I'll reserve comment until we see it.
He experiences life all at the same time, maybe, or something like that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
And then another movie called Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. Raised by a Christian mother and a Jewish father, an adolescent girl starts to ask questions about faith, religion and faith. Now, there's a trend on this podcast that Gary has connections with studios, and the lovely people at Lionsgate, you're going to see me being real nice to movies soon, sent me a screener for this movie to watch, and I have to reserve, I don't have to, but they've asked me to put my review out closer to the time. So I won't give away my thoughts on this movie. But let's just say, of those three movies, I think Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret is a fantastically good watch for funny ha-has and comfort. But again, I'm not saying what I think of it. I would just suspect that's how I would feel about people going into that weekend, and they should definitely go see that movie.
Yeah.
You've seen it as well.
I've seen it as well. I feel like we can only give biased opinions.
You can only give biased opinions. However, I suspect on the type of movie it is, we would both give it good reviews.
I think it would definitely be worth seeing for the whole family.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Mainly on its rating here. It's PG.
I would also say it comes across like it's probably very well acted and written.
I assume it probably has the shortest runtime. I don't know what the runtime of Fast X is, but this is only 105 minutes.
And I would say,
106 minutes.
And again, not giving too much away, that it kind of moves along at quite a good pace.
We're speaking facts, Gary. That's all we're doing. That's all we do here.
Look, yeah, we've seen this movie. I'll put my full review on Letterboxd, which I do have, and I'll put it up on the Instagram. But let's just say, based on our experiences with it, it could be something that's worth checking out.
Well, worth a watch, yeah.
There you go. And finally, for the month, it is a movie on the 26th of May called The Little Mermaid. And it's
Again,
really
it's
funny
not
because
here.
I forgot to put my description in. So it's the story of Keane, a footballer who gets injured on a night out. He will struggle to come to terms with his career-ending injury. Wow, Disney really did a whole 180 on that story.
Yeah. Now, again, it's not up here. The only two things I have here are Sisu and Boonie Bear's Guardian Code.
Cool. What are your thoughts on The Little Mermaid?
It's coming out in cinemas, is it?
26th of May, yeah.
Okay. Because that gives me a little bit more faith. Although,
Did you see the pictures they put up today?
no.
They put up posters of the crab and the fish.
Do they look...
Haunting. Oh, speaking of haunting, they also put the trailer for The Haunting in Venice, the new Poirot movie out. What did you think of that?
Wait, what? That's not coming out next month.
No, but they put the trailer out today.
Oh,
Just
sorry, no.
saying
I
the
did-
word haunting.
I didn't watch it, no.
Oh, because I was going to say my thing of that.
Oh, yeah, go on.
Haunting.
Okay. Sorry, the one thing I was going to say is I can't remember if I've liked any live
I
action.
liked Aladdin.
Did you?
Yeah. See, I love that movie anyway, so I was always going to be a big fan.
I think you just like...
And the genie going around slapping everyone.
I think you just like your one. What's her name?
Naomi Scott.
Naomi Scott.
I think, David, Are You There? God, it's Me, Margaret.
It's a fantastic
I think
movie.
Naomi Scott would have a great time with that,
Yeah.
and I think the two of us should go see it together. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Guy Ritchie directing Aladdin. Look, no, Disney live action adaptations usually balls.
Hit and miss, like.
Very hit and miss. Beauty and the Beast, fine. Lion King, balls. Pinocchio, haunting. And this looks to have a very good cast, and they've changed some of the songs.
Other movies had good casts.
I know, I'm just being like, look, David, I'm trying to get on Disney School. And look, it had very good casts, like I said, and yeah, they've changed some of the songs. People are annoyed. Ariel's black. People are annoyed. I just hope people go see it with a fucking, for what it is, rather than going in with any of these sort of,
Biased.
yeah, biases. Yeah, Javier Bardem as Odin. Love that. Not
That could
Odin.
be-
Whatever it is. Poseidon.
That could be good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Just all of them, especially The Lion King. The Lion King was fucking balls, man.
Yeah. But we love John Favreau.
Yeah, but I like when John Favreau gets to do his own thing.
Yeah.
Not when he's told to do whatever he's supposed to do.
So, but I'm optimistic for this month, knowing that I've seen one of these things.
Yeah, sorry, I was just trying to look at what was in that week where didn't have anything. I think it's the book club, is it?
Oh, the book club 2, they're going on a trip to
Yeah.
Paris. Yeah, no, fuck that.
Venice, I think.
Sure, why not?
It's on the 12th.
Do you know what I think of that trip to Venice? Haunting. Sorry. Okay, should we wrap it up?
That's all we did, folks.
There you go.
That's another one done.
David, thanks again.
You're welcome.
I also want to thank anyone who's listened to this or any of the other ones. If you would like to keep up to date with the podcast, you can follow at Reeling in the Piers on Instagram. That's where we put most of our content. We also have the clips on TikTok. The episodes go up on YouTube if people prefer watching it there. As I've
Does it?
They go on YouTube.
I
There you
didn't
go.
know that.
I've said it off the end of every podcast, David. And you can also...
I kind of zone out.
That's fair. You can also follow us on Letterboxd. The links are in the description. If you'd like to contact the podcast, you can email reelingthepeers@gmail.com. Tell us what you're excited for May. And if you'd like to subscribe to the podcast, you can do that on Spotify and Apple. Be sure to give us 5 stars there because we need it. And if you saw Ghosted, are you alive? Let us know. Did anyone see Ghosted? Did anyone see Ghosted? I'd love to know. Did you see Ghosted, David?
I'm actually going to check what it's on Rotten Tomatoes.
Let's just have a quick show. The podcast is over. We're going to check what Ghosted got. I got all the cameos ruined for me, David. There's a lot of cameos in
is there?
Ghosted. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
David got 29% on Rotten Tomatoes, David.
Was this directed by Chris Evans?
It was directed by Dexter Fletcher, who did Rocket Man.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. You told me this.
A movie that won an Oscar that shouldn't have.
Anna de Armas back in your bad books.
Back in my bad books, David. It's very unfortunate. I tell you what, I would not like to see how there God with me Margaret with Anna de Armas. No, sir.
But anything else.
Anything else? Call me.